Welcome to the Sterling Trading Tech Roundtable video series. My name is Jamie Pielock, and I'm a Director of Sales here at Sterling Trading Tech. As a global provider of trading, risk, and compliance solutions, we think it's important, especially during this time, to continue to have relevant industry-related conversations. This roundtable will be focused on the outsourced trading industry, given the momentum it's gained over the past few years. We have invited industry experts Massimo Bufalini and Adam Bandeen, both of Outset Global Trading, to the roundtable today to gain industry insights from them and to discuss how the space is evolving. Thank you both again for joining us today. And to get started, could you please both introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Massimo Bufalini. I'm a managing director at Outset Global in New York. I've been at the firm since 2018, prior to which I spent nearly 20 years at various investment banks.
And I'm Adam Bandeen. I'm a managing partner at Outset. I founded it 10 years ago with my partner Raymond McCabe. And prior to that, like Mass, I ran desks on both the sell and buy sides.
Thanks again both for joining us today. We appreciate it. And to get started, we'll jump right in with the first question. The adoption of outsourced trading and the outsourced industry in general has ramped up over the past few years, at least. What would both of you consider to be the key drivers behind this paradigm shift?
I'll take this. What I would say is that it's a natural progression that we've seen over the past few years, driven by changes in the industry, both buy and sell side, education, as people have begun to understand better and better what the outsourced trading service is and how it can help. And I think maybe as importantly, proof of concept. As more and more funds take up outsourced trading and have a good experience with it, what we see is that word of mouth becomes very, very powerful in an industry where people still communicate with each other quite a bit and are always looking for efficiencies. So I think a combination of those three have been drivers for the industry. And I think in terms of industry changes, just to spend a moment on that, I think that complexity and cost have become more burdensome for the fund manager, and good fund managers do what they do, whether they're investing or running a business. They look for efficiency, they look for ways to improve their business, and outsourced trading provides that. I think on the sell side, there's been increased competition, headcount reduction, factors that have made it important for them to look at efficiency. And I think that outsourced trading bridges those two needs really effectively and provides a solution where we can be highly helpful to the buy side and highly cooperative with the sell side. And I think, again, that as take-up has increased in the fund management industry, that proof of concept has been a really important driver, I'd say, to why the industry's grown as it has.
Excellent. And on a similar note, and kind of getting a little bit more granular to kind of the nowadays, we've seen heavier volumes from a trading perspective. There's been a tremendous amount of volatility and also transition to work from home due to the pandemic and COVID-19. How has your space or the outsourced trading space adapted to those changes? And has technology played a role in this at all?
Completely. It's a great question. Yeah, I think it's important to remember in specifics of our firm, the reason why we were set up the way we were set up was always at the behest of clients. And typically, I guess the original pull was more of a geographical fill. So a fund is based in New York. They have a European or a New York trading desk. They don't have access to European market, or if they do, they only go through their PB, which is 1 or 2 pipes to the market, or you could plug into something like us, which is 200 pipes into the market. Because we've always been structured away from the clients, we've always demanded that we have the top technology. Sorry for that ringing in the background. You're hearing the technology. And it's always state of the art, and that goes all the way from the OMS, the order management system, to the EMS, and through any system that we have on our desk is done to make sure that any changes in technologies we take advantage of. So for us, when COVID came along, it was pretty simple because we've established a platform that you can plug and play into anywhere in the world. So for example, I literally can hop on a plane. I can go to India tomorrow and plug in on the internet, and I can access this exact same workstation as long as I have the screens. And that's been incredibly helpful, I think, for a lot of people, whereas a lot of the funds originally that came on board at the start of COVID for us, they didn't have that functionality, so they felt that their trading was really being impacted negatively by COVID. In terms of the actual overall space, I think when people say volumes have increased, it has for us, but I don't know generally in the market. I think maybe retail volumes have increased because a lot of people have spent their checks that they're getting in America or different things in the market. But in terms of the institutional volumes, I don't know whether they've increased. I know they have with us. Our client base has probably gone up by about 30%. And even the ones that existed before relied on us more so now. So probably an additional 30% there as well. And it's also, we've actually thrived and developed ourselves in this market to the point that we now, I think we've hired five different people over the last year and a half to augment our current staff.
And now kind of looking forward onto our final question, in what ways, and if you could both contribute to this, I think that'd be great. I'm sure there's different perspectives. In what ways do you expect the outsourced industry, be it outsourced trading or otherwise, because we see the same for middle office and back office operations as well. How do you expect the industry to evolve or change in the years to come?
Let me start, and this is just my personal view, is that if the outsourced space was reasonably simple up to about 3 or 4 years ago when it garnered a lot of attention, and people that what I would call not outsourcers suddenly developed outsourced desks. So if you look at the spectrum, you've got the independent pure player like us on this side, who was created for clients, by clients, telling us exactly what they want. And then it's the other end of the spectrum, and I don't want to put too cynical a hat on it, is maybe brokers that realized their business wasn't being, they weren't doing as well as they possibly could have. So they created outsourced desks by the 13th person on the end of a desk is suddenly the outsource expert. And effectively, if you look at the sell side, in my view, for the last 15, maybe even 20 years, it's been a drive to zero in terms of commissions. And so what this side of the spectrum now on the outsourced side is these brokers that are basically offering to do everything for as cheap as possible because they really just want to see the flow. And what I envision in 5, maybe 10 years time, that the outsourced space will it'll segregate itself. So the pure players, and there's maybe maximum 10 people in that category, will continue to do outsourced trading, whereas the other side that is more the brokers that tend to emphasize bulk and doing things at discounts sort of go into that land somewhere between a broker and an outsourcer, if that makes sense.
I agree with everything Adam said. I think if I were to add something, I would say that as you look 5 or 10 years forward, and you think about that split between the different types of models, that's where I think we're particularly excited about our model. Now, perhaps we're biased, but I think that what we define ourselves by is as much what we do, what we won't do, defines us as much as what we do. And that sounds, that may sound like a catchphrase, but what that means experientially for the fund manager that uses a model, an independent model like us, is that we think the sell side does some things very, very well, and we have no interest in competing on those business lines. What we would rather do is be as cooperative as possible by the sell side. And we have a broad network of over 300 sell side desks that view us as a client and never a competitor. And what that means is that we provide something that emulates a high quality buy side trading desk to the fund manager. What it really means is that information flow is better, cooperativeness with the sell side is better. Effectively, the treatment that the fund gets by the sell side is better because we endeavor to be as cooperative as we can with the sell side. And so the service, I think that there's plenty of room for growth in this industry, but I'm particularly excited about our model because I think a smart, sophisticated manager is going to ultimately care about their execution. And if they care about their execution, they care about pursuing best execution, which is ultimately an obligation for the fund manager. They're going to look for a method to, as clearly and with as little friction as possible, get there. And I think our model provides that. So I'm highly enthusiastic about the industry, but I'm particularly enthusiastic about the model that that Adam and Raymond have chosen to enter this market. And 10 years ago, and then it's as true today as it was then, maybe even more so.
When I first stumbled upon outsourced trading, it was explained to me that effectively it ends up being cheaper. You get better information, you get better execution. And it's one of those things you scratch your head and think, I don't recall that ever being a situation that you would see. And yet, I've been in the outsource space for 17 years. Raymond's been in it for 20 years. And I guess the product we're at now is the product of a lot of hard work on our part, but it is true. And that's why I think it's an industry that'll do nothing but grow.
Excellent. Well, we definitely appreciate that answer. That will actually do it for our conversation today. Again, thank you both for joining. Should anyone listening in have any questions, feel free to reach out directly to myself or the folks at Outset Global Trading. And we greatly look forward to the next roundtable. But thank you again, guys.
Thanks very much.